colored rendering that we had prepared of the building as viewed from the neighbor's property. I also was told or advised that we should meet with the owners to discuss landscaping and the amount of it and so forth. And what you see right here on this particular rendering is a depiction of existing landscaping. We actually took photos of the landscaping, sent them down to the rendering artist. They also used Google to verify the locations and the heights and so forth, and we put them on there. Now, they may not be the exact species or something like that nature, but I don't know what was in his, folio for plant space. But
So that's taken from the
That's taken fr-
north-looking south.
southwest.
Yeah, okay. Just
Yes.
hold on one second. Just a nod of the head, Bob. Is that what it appears like when you look at it from your?
No,
All right.
it's the angle, correct.
All right. Okay. Go ahead.
Then we were asked to, regarding the enhanced landscape, to prepare an enhanced landscape plan with the suggestion to meet with the landowner or the homeowners to see what they would want to have for enhanced landscaping. I asked the people, or the couple here, Bob and his wife, at the end of the meeting, if they would have a time at their convenience that I could come over, stand in their backyard, because he alliterated a lot about being able to see the flags at Menards and all this kind of stuff in the skyline. So I asked for a date that they could possibly do that, and their response was, we don't want any more landscaping, and we're not going to meet. So I did due diligence. I went over there on my own and asked permission to stand in their yard, in which I obtained from their daughter, I believe. Took photographs of the landscaping, took photographs, and came up with this particular rendering. Never was I under the impression that we had to have a rendering from Menard's view, because Menard doesn't care.
Okay. Staff?
So I believe I've addressed all of them.
Staff, comments?
What we've received has been most of what was requested, but it was specified in the motion that we did get a rendering as viewed from Menards. I don't recall off the top of my head what the exact concern was, but I think that was one of the things that was missing. The enhanced landscape plan for the eastern side has always been something that's been in the minutes for the meetings about things that are of concern to the Plan Commission. Other concerns seem to be addressed. There are details for a dumpster enclosure, which include a masonry wall about 4 feet high. It will also screen the depressed loading dock. There's a gate on that was requested at the last meeting by the Plan Commission. There has been a note added to the plans about removing the fencing on all sides, actually, but Plan Commission had requested removal on the east and south. It didn't make any mention of the north, so I'm not sure exactly what the concern was there. But and then we also have details for the building materials, which the materials that are proposed are the same materials as the existing building. So at this point, staff feels that it's up to the Plan Commission to determine whether or not they are satisfied with the submissions that have been proposed.
Okay, go ahead, Pete.
Interesting. If I can add on to one of the comments made earlier, the reason for the southern elevation of Menards was there was a lot of discussion about the fencing on the south side of the property, and right now there's windscreen that's there. And the question was, well, if we're going to have a large building with no outdoor storage, was there a need for that fencing and that screening to be there? What would that building look like if we took away that fencing and you saw that addition? Would that be something better? Or is that fencing on the south with that screen the way, should we keep status quo or should we remove it? And that was where that debate was, and I believe the commission, you can correct me if I'm wrong for the members who were there at that meeting, they wanted to see what that would look like. And it was a lot of confusion as to how that south side of the building would look. I don't know if you recall the same meeting.
I was there, but
that was the reason for that south elevation. That
yeah, I know we were talking about the fence and the fabric being wavy and, not taunt and things of that nature, and we decided to take it off. We were directed to remove all fencing on the
Southeast.
north, the east, and the south.
Right, and we
And we
wanted
are
to-
removing it all.
And we wanted to have that reflected on the site plan.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Alderman Bekavich?
I just wanted to make a comment. I'm actually the one that put in the request for the drawings. I thought it would help not only the Plan Commission get a better look, understanding, but also the residents and just everybody involved in this issue. That's the first time I've seen that rendering at all. That was not here back on the 30th when I was here for that meeting. Again, we had, specifically, if my memory serves me, we had nine things we wanted to work out. I think we resolved 4, and 5 were still in question, that being the dumpster, the fence, as planning has put on there. So, with that, I'll let everybody address, and I'll buzz in later, but.
One of the residents wants to make a comment.
Bob Gibbons, 6711 South 26th Street. The last meeting, I believe we kind of agreed that along the north side, they would leave up the wood fencing.
Yes.
So I know you just said they remove it on all sides. In the
Plan
last
Commission
meeting, we
is
said that.
indicating that they said that, yes.
Yeah, so
Right.
we were planning on leaving that. Personally, I don't really want to see a 25-foot brick wall because it looks like a prison next door. And I'd rather have at least a little wood fence if it's going to go through rather than, just all block bricks sitting there. So, but the fencing on the north was supposedly going to stay. So,
Okay. Done, Dan?
Yeah.
Commissioner Dickman?
I do agree with all the comments so far. We did ask, and as Dan said, we had never seen this rendering, and I want to see, what the neighbors felt that this side of the building was going to look like, because, up to that point, there was a little drawing with a couple windows in there, but we weren't sure. And if the neighbor would like to have that wood fence stay as we said it should, and if it helps break up that wall, then I'm all for that.
How many residents, how many people in the audience are here related to this issue?
Just them.
That's it? Okay. Were you finished, Walt?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Commissioner Crowell?
Well, Mr. Gibbons stated what I thought was the wood fence wanted to stay and needs to stay. Looking at the rendering, I guess my question from an architectural standpoint and where we've approved buildings like this, it doesn't seem to be it's a pretty basic building. There's not a lot of features or anything to that we require in other areas. I'm just asking if we've asked for any more than this, or we just matched up and continued it and found that acceptable? And could they have broken that line up at all? I agree, it's like looking at a prison wall.
Keep in mind that the previously approved addition is adding on a portion of the additional wall area. And then there's an additional 80 feet. What the architectural standards say is that if you are putting up a wall that's going to be in excess of 100 feet in length, that you need to break it up either by modulation, color, material variations, windows, something to break it up. There are a few windows that are proposed on this side. There is a banding that you really can't see from this rendering that'll break up the facade somewhat. If the landscaping there is going to be close to, if the landscaping in the rendering is going to be close to what is actually going to happen on site, that would also help break up that facade a bit.
2 points. So we originally approved an addition
Correct.
for X amount of feet. Now they added 80. So collectively, and I'm looking at the whole thing as one because it never got off the ground, the first part. So I think it's over that 100 feet. So I question if they've done enough with the building.
Well, there's also an existing privacy wall on that north side, which is, according to the plan, 60 feet in length. So they would be adding a total of 100 feet in length, meeting
All right.
100 feet that you could see beyond the length of that wall.
I guess my point would be what I see in some of our industrial park areas and things. I see additions like this and it looks like this, and it's in an industrial park. This is abutting a residential area. I'd probably be looking for more architecturally.
Point.
So you've had two discussions. This is now our third discussion on this proposal from this applicant. I mean, you're going to have to tell me, are you comfortable with these? Hold on one second. Are you comfortable with what he said? Are you still concerned with the open items that you've said you've had from the previous two meetings and staff has affirmed? And I'll open it up to anybody. Go ahead, Carrie, you had some comments.
Just one more comment. If the wood fence on the north side is going to remain, then that would also block the wall from, it would block the addition somewhat from the residential.
Yeah, we don't have any problem leaving the wood fence. It's an expense we already made, and it should stay there. It's cedar. The other thing I would ask, I don't know if Carrie has them on her machine there, but do you have the photographs that we took of all points of view from? Okay. We took photographs from their property looking to the west, where you see his garage and a huge water tower. You look to this side. We took pictures of all the existing landscaping to show you that it somewhat resembles what's on here. It should, to the best of our ability. And the issue of the banding, I mean, you can see it on the rendering if you know where to look, but this didn't depict it very well, but it is on there. You can see the lighter ones between the, I don't know if Pete has a little marker, but you can see them on there. And if they want more windows, we'll put more windows on.
Ultimately, that
Right there.
addition matches the existing building.
It matches the existing building.
Which is
It's
what
every 5
was asked in the
courses.
beginning of the process.
Yeah.
So I'm not concerned about that.
Right.
Commissioner Johnson?
Just one clarification on the wood fence on the north side. The gate that runs to the building, that was to be removed,
Yes.
so the fire department has access.
Yeah,
around
the
building.
gate will be removed, but the
The wood fence would.
east to west, north fence will stay.
Yes.
That could stay, yes.
Does it?
Alderman Bekavich?
I guess I'll weigh in on, this is my district. I'm really feeling for the neighbors in this one. It's a very odd property. It transitions the business zone to a residential neighborhood. There's always been a building there, but not quite of this size. The original addition was 6,600 square foot, if I remember right. That was pretty acceptable, went through without a lot of heartburn. And then along came this one, which, again, kind of obstructs their view, the whole thing. We're all in agreement. The wooden fence will stay on the north side. I guess I'd like to hear from Bob, if you could come up and tell me your opinion. That's going to be a rock-faced building, just what's there. If you think that that's an acceptable building, because I mean, actually there, it's pretty nice looking. I mean, if he puts a stripe on it or something like that, but I want your opinion on this, is what I'm asking for.
Well, my opinion is that there wasn't always a building there. When we moved in there, that land right there was residential.
Right, but
It got changed.
understanding that
And it got
27th
changed
Street
to-
is zone business,
Yes.
something was coming in.
It got added
I
on
didn't
with
know
the
that.
Drexel, and then, all of a sudden, it went from residential, now I'm gonna have a brick wall, so. Is it acceptable? I don't think so, but
Well,
there's not a lot I can do here, is there?
I'm asking the building, like, I mean, what's there? You see that building every day, what's gonna be added on to? I know you don't like it, but
I just,
it's better than what we started out with. This started out
with them
non-conditional
putting
use.
outdoor storage there,
Right.
which was not
Started
acceptable.
out that way.
know,
And
they've-
it morphed into this, and now here we are.
This goes from one thing to another, and, there's,
Do you think that this is preferable to having all that outside storage?
right now, it doesn't bother me because the wood fence is there. The outdoor storage right now, it's not a factor for me because I don't see it. A brick wall, I'm going to see every day.
I think your better half wants to say something.
I'm Cheryl Gibbons. I don't want that building there at all to be extended our whole backyard. And who knows how long this business will be there? You're adding this building that'll be there forever, so that cuts the parking spaces for any other business that comes in.
Future,
I don't know, I just don't, I mean, if this were an industrial park, yeah, fine, but we're in a residential area. It just doesn't seem right that we keep having to make all these concessions for them buying a business which they had no, I mean, it doesn't even fit what they needed. I don't get it.
Okay, thanks.
Could there not be another storage facility in Oak Creek that they could use?
Well,
you know?
they've invested into the building and
Yeah.
purchased it, they had every right to do that.
Plus, we're talking about this specific proposal, not other options.
Okay, I just thought,
So, again, with that, again, this is a tricky property because it really transitions the residential to the business area. And both businesses and residentials do have some rights, and I'm trying to find a harmony here that satisfies both.
There's harm.
And I know neither party's gonna be completely satisfied, but I'd like to find some kind of win-win solution if we can do something to break that up. I understand you got concerns about the upkeep of the landscape, stuff like that, but that particular picture seems pretty well screened. I actually think it's more heavily vegetated with those bushes. I don't think those bushes are quite that low, but again, it's computer generated, so it is what it is.
Are you satisfied with all the other items that were?
Yeah, I mean, on getting to the south side of the building, I don't like that chain link fence. I think if you block the dumpsters, I don't think it's necessary. Take it out of there. We had some safety concerns about that, though, about, what is that, about an 8-foot drop?
No, it varies from about
Yeah.
3 to 5. But then it slopes down to their park.
Again, a couple things I'm not nuts about. Somebody brought up snow removal. Hey, man, I don't know where you're going with it. It's gonna be a bear. I think the fire department's gonna have a tough time maneuvering around in there. Might kind of address that, though.
I think we have plenty of snow removal right now, and we reiterated last time we were here that if it comes to be that snow has to be trucked off the site, just like many sites do, we will do that.
I realize that.
And the other comment I wanted to make is that even when you see the addition on here, there's still about 20 feet of paving that we're removing, so they don't have to look at gray asphalt, and that's going to be restored landscaping on the east side of the building.
Right,
and then
that'll
we-
help you get to your
Right.
green requirements, because you're right on the very edge there,
Right,
too.
and then we also have been in communication with Menard to purchase the 60-foot to go to the end of the right-of-way. We tried to see if they would, they were agreeable to extend that road, 26th Street, all the way to their property, but that was shot down by engineering and so forth. So we didn't pursue that anymore, but we did pursue purchasing that 60 feet of land, and we're in discussions with that right now that will hopefully take away any possibility of not having future development with parking and things like that. But I can't really speak to the end of that discussion yet until we get there. But you can see we made modifications to the building. I actually made the building smaller since we've been here.
Yep, it's
I
down
shortened
about
it up.
1,000 square feet.
Yes, and then I rotated the loading docks to facilitate both our needs and the fire department's needs. And we're putting in a new hydrant on the east end of the building, the southeast corner, to facilitate that protection requirement. So, I mean, I believe, I guess I just never realized that you wanted a rendering, otherwise you'd have had it, because we could have had it in due time. I did respond to Carrie's email one time saying that I wasn't under the impression that we had to have one there, and that the whole intent was to appease the neighbors, the residential neighbors to the north, and otherwise we would have had it here. And but it's going to look similar. We can add color if they want, but then again, anytime you mix colors and you add things like that, it becomes more of a distraction, I think. I think if we left it monolithic in color, but you did a subtle change in the textural elements of it and put a few windows in, that's where we felt it was the best architectural design for what it is.
Commissioner Chandler?
So,
Do we have access to Google View to actually see it? And while she checks that, I have another question. So the loading dock is now on an angle?
yes,
Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yep.
yes.
And can you give more information why you changed it? I know that is different, but the why behind it.
We had approximately 20 feet of paving on the south end of the building for fighting apparatus to maneuver around there, and we felt we needed a little more. So I rotated we discussed it, and I discussed this with Mike. we tried putting a loading dock perpendicular to the south wall, but there's not enough maneuvering clearance for loading and unloading packages or carts. So what we did was go ahead and make it on an angle so that we could go ahead and accommodate both. More area to go around the building from the drop-off retaining wall that's on the Menard property, and get us over there quicker.
And thank you for that. And also, if I remember correctly, the dumpsters were right next to the loading dock. I didn't see that on here. Have they been moved to a different location?
No, they're still there, ma'am. There's the two dumpsters and the loading dock are in the same depressed loading dock area. You can see them
Okay.
right on here. And that's the reason we have the 4-foot-high masonry fence or masonry wall that'll be the vision protector of that. And then there's also a swing gate on it from anybody that could possibly see it from 27th Street.
Could you put that view back up? So is this where that line of that building is now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and this will be landscaped?
Yes. That last parking aisle, if you will, that you can see there will be landscape now. The building comes to the end of that.
Okay. Were you done?
Now, we could put some awnings or something over the windows. I don't know if that's an architectural treatment that they might want to see, but,
I don't know
I
that
mean, we're not
that's-
looking for shade or anything like that, or lessening of any heat gain or anything, but we could put a color splash there by adding an awning like we have over the front entry and the metal roof that's over the main entry, but
Commissioner Dickman will make sense of it all for us.
No, sometimes adding things like that draw things out too much. You're better off leaving it, so that they can look at it, see what's one view.
agree.
But I want to talk to a little bit, Kerry, that 60 feet he was talking about that they could potentially purchase from Menards. What does that, what does it add out here? Does that screw up any development over here of the other area that Menards has? One time that road 26 we had coming across and cutting over, which the layout we had is no longer in force. We'd have to relook at it. But does that 60 feet screw things up for the future?
I think it screws it up for this application. I think it's something that we shouldn't even be discussing at this point, because it's just, in the future, it's a possibility, but it has no relevance to this discussion, I don't think.
Okay, good.
Well said.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Oh, that's fine.
You have a comment? Oh, okay. You raise your hand. All right, what does the commission want to do? We've had 3 cracks at this. It basically comes down to, do you feel the applicant has listened and addressed your concerns? Or do you still feel that, are you still agreeing with staff that there's things that have not been addressed and that concern you, both from a city standpoint and how it might impact neighbors or future use? That's your question.
I'd like to throw it over to Dan, if Dan Senior, the alderman there.
Yeah,
Guess it kind of rests with you as far as I'm concerned.
yeah, it really does, and these are the type of decisions I make the big bucks for. Again, I'm trying to find a happy median here. Again, it's transitional property, and Menards could just as easily throw something up on their property too. They'd have every right to do so, and we'd have neighbors looking at it. This aerial actually helps quite a bit. If you take the fellow on 27th Street directly behind Bob, he's in the same situation where his yard faces that building also. I'm trying to get a visual on just how far back 100 feet will take us from the end of that building. Will it take up almost all the concrete that we see? Yeah. It will,
Except for that slice.
except for that slice.
no, that's
So-
going to be gone.
That's gone.
Yeah,
They're going to put grass in there,
Yeah.
yeah.
so,
Hey, Dan, just one clarification. Yeah. That house is actually gone, the DOT. purchased
yeah,
that
you're
house
right,
on
it is
27th
gone
Street.
now. It is gone. And again, you'll see another business go in there. It's gonna happen. That's a changing area, unfortunately. And it's a very nice deal there. Actually, the way the Givens house is situated, there's quite a bit of, the garage is pretty tight. There's a little bit of buffer. There's more space there than I realized. I actually thought it was much tighter to the building than it actually is. So, with that, I do like the changes to the dock. I do like having a building, a business that's in there and investing in Oak Creek. So with that, I'll make the motion that the Plan Commission approve the site and building plans submitted by Ace of Base Wisconsin Granite Depot for the property located at 6720 South 27th Street. Should I read the conditions out, Carrie?
Yes, and I'd like to propose one more, since the Plan Commission has all indicated by their conversations tonight that the north part of the fence with the dog-eared wood fence that's there now, I propose including a condition that it remain on the north.
Okay.
Okay, that's a good one.
With the following conditions, that a minimum 30% open space is defined in section 17.1009, sub A, sub 21 is maintained on the property, that a minimum of 58 parking stalls are maintained on the property, that landscaping plans are submitted for review and approved by the Department of Community Development prior to assurances of permits, issuance of permits. 4, that all building and fire codes, including required emergency vehicle turnarounds, are met. Any substantive changes to the plans will require additional plan review meetings. And 5, that the north wooden fence will remain as a condition.
Motion was made, waiting for a second.
Curlo, second.
Before I take the roll, Commissioner Johnson, press your button.
No, that was just,
Okay, you're good?
we're good.
Roll call.
Oh, boy. Dickman, aye.
Johnston, no.
Curlo, aye.
Kavich, aye.
Scavidi, no.
Guzekowski, no. Corral, no.
Chandler, no.
Oh, good, okay.
Item fails 3-5. Thank you. Moving on to 6A, new business, certified survey map submitted by Steve Mark for the property at 324 East Forest Hill Avenue, tax key number 814-9011. Applicant is here?
No.
We have no one representing the applicant?
Unfortunately, I don't see a representative of the applicant present.
Okay.
There's,
Are all these items tied to the next?
there's two of
The
them.
next three are
Three, yeah.
all tied to the same application.
Shall we hold them? We've done that.
Oh, yeah, hold on one second.
You want to go out of order?
No. I want to hear what Pete has to say.
I was just suggesting that we could take the temporary use permit application. Maybe not. Oh, there we go. That was cut out on me.
All right, so we got the Watsons are here. Let's move down to 6D, which is temporary use outdoor storage for a permit request submitted by James Watson for the outdoor storage of building materials located at 9833 South 15th Avenue, tax key number 910-9978. Just to comment on that item, I'm not going to wait around all night for the applicant, so.
Sure.
On the other one. So if he's not going to show, all these other folks are waiting for him. So.
Mayor, I don't think this item will take very long to discuss, so I just
we'll
think it would
give them a
help.
little bit of time, but we're not going to wait,
Sure.
because they're all waiting for that item.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
James Watson, 6101 South Pennsylvania Avenue, Cudahy. Our request is to continue our temporary storage. Previously, we had the storage and it expired. And in that time, we had a wetland delineation done. And we did have the staff show us where to put the blocks that we do have on there now.
When was that?
That was prior to the delineation, which we went off of maps that the city provided for us, and the staff did come out and point out where to put it.
Time frame, timeline, when that was?
2012.
That is correct.
Okay. Staff at that time was Jeff Lynch, correct?
Fortin.
Jeff Fortin. Jeff Lynch, yeah. Jeff Fortin, correct? Okay, go ahead.
All right, and now we're asking for some more storage time because now we had submitted our building plans, but ran into the DNR and the Army Corps of Engineer needing a crossing to fill, to put our building in on the site. So that's going to take 30 to 90 days.
We don't know how long.
Yeah,
We all know how the DNR works.
Right, right. So, you know, we're kind of green at what we're doing here, and we're just kind of going along with what's happening here.
Ultimately, you want to build a home in Oak Creek on that lot.
Retirement
Yes.
home.
You have stored your block for your buildings on the site.
Right,
At the direction of staff, 2012.
yes.
You had your wetlands delineated. You're now at the DNR stage where you're trying to figure out if you can cross that area.
Right.
Correct, for your driveway?
Yes. And I notice here you have no filling or grading. Now, the areas that we want to build is just total woods, and it's moguls all over. So in order to take the block where it's stored now and put it in an area that's higher, I'm going to need to grade it flat, else all the pallets are just going to fall over. And I need to remove trees. And the block has been sitting there for 2 years. The Army Corps and Engineer was out there to look at it, and he had no problem with it at the time. And you're requesting that we move it, and that's going to be a difficult thing and a costly item to do. Again, you know, there's 200 pallets.
A lot of physical working, you
Right.
know.
Got it.
We are two old people, you know, we can, block is not the easy thing to move it here to there. You know?
And I will note for the record that I met with you last night. You also met with Alderman Mike Toman.
Yes.
To talk about
Yes.
the issue. So just so we're clear on that. Commissioner Corral had a question?
When this came up once before, the issue is where the block was, correct? And I thought we, at that time, a couple years back, wanted it moved or relocated, or explain why we're back here. Is it just an extension of time?
This is an extension of time. In your packet, there is a Milwaukee County map that I showed there.
Okay.
And you'll see that, you see the parcel, you'll see the white area to the north, northeast of the 9833 is where currently the block is being stored as of 2013.
Pete, my
And-
question just is it where we wanted it?
It's where we directed it
Is
in
that where we-
2012.
It was where staff directed it. I mean,
That's my
the
point.
thing is, staff said, keep it out of the floodplain. We didn't go out or have them stake the elevations so they would have it. It was, here's a map, try to get it there. We didn't go and say, hey, we want you to mark it out.
We weren't specific. They got it in the general area, but they're not right.
Staff was here on site. Jeff was on site.
But Jeff gave, based on a map, there wasn't staked out like the elevation saying this is where the
Jeff was
floodplain.
on
Delineation
site.
was not
Done.
done
No,
at
it
that
was not
time.
done
It
at
was
that time.
by
Since-
that
So when it
map-
was done, the spot was somewhat off. Now we need a little bit more time. It's already.
That map's
Yep.
way out of
Yes.
whack compared to
Okay.
the delineation.
Commissioner Johnson?
Anyways.
What has happened in the last 2 years? Why?
Well, we've been trying to get wetland delineation done. We have a problem with the contractor, and we're just waiting. The gentleman never got through, so finally we come to city, and I believe Peter, I said, well, we have to sign up with MMMC SURPAC to, do it. Well, we got lucky. They got right away, and we got done now. And here we are trying to get a house plan going, and then we don't realize, Peter said, well, you have to have, DNR to prove that, put a driveway, So that was kind of, shock to us.
Right.
So, well, we can, so now we also deal with the DNR.
So you're asking in good faith for an extension?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
And the issue clearly is the storage of the block should not impede a floodplain.
Floodplain, correct.
Okay. I'm asking you this question. What kind of leeway can we give them if we grant the extension? What kind of leeway can we give the folks to not have to move this tomorrow? Can it be a lengthy period of time that gives them a reasonable opportunity to get this done so it's not, tomorrow or next week?
Again, cut all the trees down and grade something
Weather's coming cold too, you know?
that's flat for this to.
That, we get it. I understand
Yeah,
it's not easy.
okay.
In the report, I recommended 30 days from day of approval to do it. If you want to extend that and have staff not go out there until 60 or 90 days or completion of the Army Corps of Engineers and the DNR approval,
All that stuff.
we can definitely delay the time I inspect to go in there, but FEMA came, say there was a flood and FEMA came and said, hey, they want to claim their materials as an accident. Well, no, you had it stored in the floodplain. It's going to be bad news for them. I mean,
Yeah, and I think you understand that, right? You,
Yes, we do. But, thing is,
because it's on the record.
average people ignorant of that stuff, and we just totally lean on staff,
Right.
And the gentleman was there on site. It's okay, this area, you can put it on. He was on site, that's how we did.
It's not the first time it's happened. The staff does the best they can do, and sometimes when they don't have clear,
It's a costly mistake for us.
understood, and that's why I think,
Time down.
in my world, that's why I'm willing to give some leeway.
Yes, yes.
I mean,
yes,
would
yes.
it, would.
They're not,
be
people
better
aren't
if-
signing up at the door to build houses in Oak Creek. I wish they were, but it's not happening at the pace I'd like to see it. So we have two honest people that are here telling us they want to build a house in Oak Creek. I'm going to try to figure out a way to make it happen.
Okay, I appreciate that. But I know it's weather permitted too, it's weather getting cold, and we need to cut all the trees off, and we do need some kind of grading. And all the blocks and pallets, you can put it in hills, and there you have to flat it too,
Okay.
So,
Let me just go to Commissioner Johnston. Let me get a couple questions and then see if we can kind of tie this up.
I would just recommend that if this is approved, that we'd have some sort of grading plan laid out here, if you're
yeah, I
going to be
hope
grading.
so, yes.
I mean, this isn't the first time you built a house. This isn't the first time you've had an issue with DNR. I
That's
would
the
have-
first time, yeah, DNR, yes. But we did build many house, but we was, unfortunately, it wasn't that issue with the
In what
DNR.
regards do we have something to do with the DNR before?
Yeah, we never have a problem.
Filling in and grading in the wetlands.
No, that was a track that was made for running a
Oh,
go-kart.
no, oh, I see, okay, I understand.
A
what you're
go-kart, and we had the Army Corps engineers out there. And the DNR says you can drive through wetlands all you want. And that's what we were doing. There was no grading. That was a hearsay by somebody that
Yes,
was
somebody
jealous
did.
about being able to deer hunt there, okay?
All right, that's kind of off the subject.
And it is, but you brought it up, so I'm just trying to explain to
Anything
you what
else,
that was.
Commissioner Johnson?
No.
Commissioner
Did you wanna
Chandler?
add a-
Hold on one second. Commissioner Chandler?
Where are the blocks stored now? Just so we can get an idea of
Right there.
where they're going to be moved from.
if Carrie could put up
So that's where they're going?
that's where the applicant is proposing to have the blocks located, which is out of the wetlands, and that location is out of the floodway. If you look back to the Milwaukee County Interactive Mapping Service, what that shaded area is the 100-year floodplain. And where the applicant appears to be showing it on the property would be to the southeast of where it currently is located. And staff agreed that where they're proposing to put the blocks or have the blocks would be acceptable compared to where it is right now.
Can you go to the other map where it shows blocks? Just so I can have an idea of the distance? So right now it's at the top or to the left?
See where it says block?
So that's where it's going?
That's where the applicant has proposed, that's where it should be on the site. And when you look at the aerial map, it doesn't match up.
I think the question is, where are they now?
Yes.
They are see where the word wetland is?
Which one?
Carrie, if you can, to the left of the block over
Oh,
in-
okay.
in that vicinity, not, in that general area. And so where the applicant indicated by the new delineated wetlands, that the material would be out of the wetland, it would be out of the floodplain, which would be copacetic with our code and with the ordinance with FEMA. But currently, when I did an aerial map showing how it lines up with our floodplain map, it shows that it's further inward. And as the applicant stated, that staff went out there to try to show a suitable site. We didn't shoot the site with a surveyor to show exactly where those elevations were. He tried to work with the applicant.
I think we all get that.
And so that's where we are today. And so that's why it's important on staff's part to make sure if there is a violation, we should be correcting it regardless if what was said in 2012. And so if we want to extend this, let's do it in a correct manner, so that way everybody is protected. The city's protected, the applicant's protected. If somehow that were to be destroyed by rain, swept away, they would not have any issues themselves.
Yeah, I think we're talking about extending it with the direction they need to correct it. It's just the amount of time we're going to say that is. Commissioner Dickman.
Okay, no, I just want, Commissioner Johnson, did you want to add a condition 5 first? That's what I want to bring up.
Yes.
On your point. And then secondly, if we were to add something to condition 3, as far as a time period, that would take care of it, Kerry?
Sure, yes.
Okay, we just have to decide then what the time period.
Okay. Commissioner, you done?
Yes.
Paul? Okay, Commissioner Corral?
Just to follow up, Wally, I think that time frame it's been a couple of years, but it is winter coming, so I'm thinking we got to give them early spring as a date. I'll throw April 1 or something out there for conversation, but I'm thinking a time frame, something like that. And just a quick question is, where on 15th, I can't tell from our stuff, where is this? Can we see an aerial? Or I'm a little confused.
Yeah, I tried to find it too.
Are you familiar with Bollender's Farm?
Yes.
It's on the west side of it. There's the Highway 115th.
Got it.
It's on the west side of the open field.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. You have something to say, Carrie?
Just to kind of clarify what the concern is with the floodplain issue. The reason that it's a concern is because we have storage in a floodplain of materials that are not anchored or sheltered. So it's not so much that it's just a pile of blocks that will eventually become a house in a different location. I mean, that's all fine and good. But the concern is for any properties that, if there was a flood event, might get damaged by those materials. So, it may not be something in this location that would be conducive to a spring thaw or a spring flood, but those are some considerations that we would have to make. And FEMA does not have, anything in their code that says, well, if it's a certain time, then you can be a little bit more lenient. I mean, FEMA themselves can make that determination, but the city does not necessarily have
Okay.
a whole, well, I mean, we have our own regulations that are compliant with FEMA.
Okay, can I comment that
Sure.
question? Well, then you should have known better 2 years ago, Tell us where the FEMA.
And also, we own the adjacent land
We own
north
all that, next to
and
them, too.
west, all that 36 acres. So if
Is
there
this
was-
all block? Is this what we're talking about, all block?
It's all 12-inch block. They're 60 to a cube, and they
been
weigh
60 2
3,000
years.
pounds apiece, and they're doubled up on top of each other. They're not going
The
anywhere.
floating factors, I would think minimum. All right, so I guess for me, looking for, I would suggest an extension. I would give them a very reasonable amount of time to make the correction. At some point, it's got to be moved out of there.
Yes.
And you guys understand.
I need to have some type of permission to do a little bit of removal of the trees and flattening out the area to put it in there, else I can't get it in there. I'll never get it in there.
Because all the hills,
Right,
we
right,
need to
right.
flat out a little bit.
and
The
if-
grading gotta be
Yeah,
done.
if we can wait for the DNR to,
And you submitted that already, that information?
Yes, I did.
When did you submit that?
October 3rd, all the paperwork.
And
was
they gave
in
you a
and paid
90-day
for.
window or something like that?
We're just waiting.
It goes up on the website.
Okay.
You can follow it on the website.
Well, like I say, that 2013, and Army Corps engineer Anthony, his name, he was on the site. He walked around, he see all the blocks,
Yes.
and he don't see any problem with that.
Okay.
He was there for the other issue,
Other
and we
people
showed him
complain,
that
yeah.
too.
And he think that was a silly people call that for nonsense stuff.
Do you have your home, have you had an architect design your home?
Yes, we already submitted city.
Beautiful. Okay. All right, what's commission want to do?
I'll make the motion. Kavich will make a motion that the Plan Commission approve the temporary use permit allowing for the storage of bricks and concrete blocks on the property at 9833 South 15th Avenue, subject to the following conditions. That no filling or grading activity may take place on this property until building permits are approved and DNR approval and all that, do we throw that in also? Or are we good with that? Pete?
Testing. In lieu of the way the condition 1 is asked, listening to what the applicant said, that they would like to remove some trees and do some grading work in order to relocate the block, I would suggest revising condition 1 to state that the applicant, before filling or grading activity may take place, that a grading plan be submitted and approved by the engineering department. So that way, I believe they're able to do some filling and some grading, but yet we have some oversight so it doesn't get clear cut or, we create more issues. So I would recommend that for replace condition number 1.
So noted.
Then for condition number 5, that,
Go away.
that would go away.
Yeah,
Okay.
take care of it, right?
And then we go with conditions 2 through 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you may want to add with condition number 3, an extended time for staff to enforce moving the block out of the floodway. Right now, it's set at 30 days, but you may want to say, at the expiration of the permit, I don't know if you want to include a date, but that would be the recommendation for condition number 3.
Okay.
It's gotta be spring. It's whether it's gonna be cold anytime,
Okay. So noted on 1, we got that. Condition 2, that the blocks are stored in orderly manner. 3, that the blocks are stored outside the wetlands and floodplain areas, and must be moved by April 15th, 2015. How's that?
April 15 is no snow. Wisconsin weather, you don't know when it's
Good
gonna be
date, yeah.
snow.
Can't guarantee it, that's 6
Yeah,
months.
you
then.
can't guarantee the weather.
It's tax day.
It's a pretty serious extension.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That temporary use shall expire on October 15th, 2015.
See, Dickman seconds.
Roll call.
Dickman, aye.
Johnston, no.
Crillo, aye.
Kavich, aye.
Speedy, aye.
Guzekowski, aye.
Corral, aye.
Chandler, aye.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, good luck.
Have a good day.
All right, is the applicant for 6A and B showing up? Steve Marks?
No.
All right, those items are held to the next Plan Commission meeting, and we will notify him. I apologize to all you folks that are here. He's not here. Sorry. All right, moving on to, is C also tied to that?
A, B, and C.
A, B, and C. 1, 2, 3. All right, so we're down to 6E, which is a right-of-way vacation review request by City of Oak Creek and One West Drexel LLC to vacate a portion of the northwest quarter of the northeast quarter of Section 17. Applicant is here. City's obviously represented. Questions, comments, any staff comments? Mr. Chandler, you have your button pushed
Yes, I have a question.
on this issue?
Is it time?
Certainly.
Yes. I just wanted to know why the reduction from 85 feet to 82?
My understanding is that there was a change to the configuration of the road,
Our road?
6th Street, in that location.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All right, motion.
Bukavich will move that the Plan Commission recommend to the Common Council that the unimproved right-of-way of a portion of the northwest quarter of the northeast quarters of Section 17, east side of South 6th Street at 331 West Drexel Avenue be vacated after a public hearing.
Corral,
Chandler.
seconds.
Chandler, second. Roll call.
Dickman, aye.
Johnston, aye.
Crillo, aye.
Bukavich, aye.
Speedy, aye.
Guzekowski, aye. Corral, aye.
Chandler, aye.
Moving on to 6F, certified survey map review submitted by Gerald Frankie for One West Drexel LLC for the property at 331 West Drexel Avenue, tax key number 813-9031. Any staff comments?
This is one of 2 CSMs for this property. The first one will divide the lot into 4. And there we go. Lots 1 through 3 on the east and lot 4 on the west, they all meet the minimum width and area requirements. There are some comments regarding storm sewer easements that need to be shown on lot 4 on subsequent pages of the certified survey map. There were also comments from the water and sewer utility that should be incorporated prior to recording. The staff recommendation is that the Plan Commission recommends to the Common Council that the certified survey map submitted by Gerald Frankie, 1 West Drexel, LLC for the property at 331 West Drexel Avenue be approved subject to conditions 1 and 2. Mr. Mayor.
Any questions? Mr. Chandler?
I just wanted to know why the lots are being divided.
At this point, these lots are being subdivided based upon Blair Williams from Wired proposed use of the properties, and then an unnamed entity for the lot furthest to the east.
So there are potential vendors for 2 of the 4? Is that correct?
No, actually, all 4, basically, yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
And that was Jerry Frankie address?
Sorry. What do you want? No, I'll give you my home address, 5824 Pilgrim Way, Mount Pleasant.
All right. Mr. Johnson?
I just add on there too that all gas and electric easements are shown. That'd be part of the technical corrections, I guess, but.
Sounds good. If no other questions, motion on 6G? No.
F.
Gavich will make a motion that the Plan Commission recommend to the Common Council that the certified survey map submitted by Gerald Frankie, 1 West Drexel LLC for the property at 331 West Drexel Avenue be approved with the following conditions: that all technical corrections are made prior to recording, that storm, sewer, water, and sanitary easements are updated to the map prior to recording, and that all gas and electrical easements are also specified and recorded. Did I get that right, Brian?
Yes.
It's a Dickman seconds.
Roll call.
Dickman, aye.
Johnston, aye.
Carrillo, aye.
Gavich, aye.
Speedy, aye.
Guzekowski, aye.
Correll.
Chandler, aye.
So I'm assuming G, H, and I are all each of those pieces?
No.
Oh, these are all
The
different?
next one is actually dividing Lot 4 of that CSM, so I'll bring that up for you.
Just for the commission, we talked about this before, but this was this was before we changed the rule, essentially?
Correct. These CSMs were actually submitted before the city went through the process of changing the number of lots that could be created via CSM.
Oh, that one.
That's why we're subjecting you to this tedious.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. All right, so
So this is subdividing Lot 4 into 2 conforming lots. Same comments regarding easements shown as the prior CSM, and the staff recommendation, again, is for approval, subject to conditions 1 and 2.
Commissioner Johnston.
Just a quick question. Does this include the vacation that we just approved or no? Does the CSM need to have that technical correction then?
Sure. Well, actually, this is going to be recorded prior to that vacation process being completed.
Okay, because looking at this CSM, looks like we got a dimension of 3291, which is the same dimension on the vacation, plus we add another 1.99 onto that with that vacation.
So what is it?
What does it all mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The CSM doesn't match the vacation we just approved.
Well,
Oh, I can't.
It depends on what order.
Just stay up there.
Doesn't it matter in what order it's recorded? I think you would record the CSM first and then the vacation afterwards, and that would take care of it.
But then we have a CSM that doesn't depict the lot.
Well, then we'd have to do I forget what, a correction.
an affidavit of correction.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a long day.
Okay,
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, thank
all right.
Does that change this, Carrie, at all?
No.
Okay.
Any other questions? Motion?
Gavich will make a motion that the Plan Commission recommend to the Common Council that the certified survey map submitted by Gerald Frankie, 1 West Drexel LLC for the property at 331 West Drexel Avenue be approved with the following conditions: that all technical corrections are made prior to the recording, 2, that the storm sewer easements are updated on the map prior to recording, and 3, that all gas and electrical easements are updated and recorded.
Johnston seconds.
Roll call.
Dickman, aye.
Johnston, aye.
Carrillo, aye.
Gavich, aye.
Speedy, aye.
Guzekowski, aye.
Correll, aye.
Chandler, aye.
And 6H is a certified survey map for the property at 1 West Drexel, for the property at 7941 South Howell Avenue, tax key number 813-9030-000.
Okay, this is CSM 1 of 2, dividing the property into 4 lots of conforming size. There is a no access area along Howell Avenue for lots 2 through 4, so that's basically along this side here. No vehicle access will be permitted. However, there is just a slight language change between the pages, so the recommendation is to make sure that that we stay consistent throughout the CSM, either say no vehicular access or no access, just make it clear on all sheets. Also, the bioswale and stormwater easements have been flagged as not being the correct size as approved by the stormwater management plan, so that would just be a technical correction to have prior to recording. With that, the staff recommendation is that the Plan Commission recommends to the Common Council that the certified survey map submitted by Gerald Frankie, 1 West Drexel, for the property at 7941 South Howell Avenue be approved, subject to conditions 1 and 2. Mr. Mayor.
Questions, Commissioner Dickman?
We know that the Water Street Brewery is going to be on the one site, so the splitting of the other ones, are they known businesses, or are you just doing it in anticipation of maybe getting businesses in there?
At this point, the lot to the south of the Water Street Brewery is under contract, but we're under a confidentiality agreement.
I understand.
And there's activity on the eastern half of Lot 1 to the west of Water Street Brewery, that the purchase and sale agreement's being negotiated. Of course, those will all come back to you for site plan approval at the appropriate time.
Okay,
I guess the message is there's lots of interest.
good, yeah. Good news.
Other questions? Oh, Commissioner Carrillo.
Lot 1 that will be divided next, that has access to Drexel?
No.
No,
No, but the only access any of these parcels have is to what we call the ring road, because I can never remember what we call it. What's it, Drexel?
West Town Square Way.
I believe it was Jerry Frankie Way.
No.
I like that.
Other questions?
No.
Motion?
Gavich will make a motion that the Plan Commission recommend to the Common Council that the certified survey map submitted by Gerald Frankie, 1 West Drexel LLC for the property at 7941 South Howell be approved with the following conditions: that all technical corrections are made prior to recording, that the storm sewer easements and bioswale easements are updated to the map prior to recording, and that all gas and electrical easements are updated and recorded.
Corral seconds.
Roll call?
Dickman, aye.
Johnston, aye.
Grillo, aye.
Gavich, aye.
Scafidi, aye.
Guzekowski, aye.
Corral, aye.
Chandler, aye.
And last but not least, 6 ayes, certified survey map submitted by Gerald Frankie, 1 West Drexel LLC for the property at 7941 South Howell Avenue, tax key number 813-9030-000.
Well, this is dividing that lot into 2 lots of conforming size. And the same comments about recording the easements on the map prior to, or sorry, showing the correct easements on the map prior to recording. Same technical corrections. Same recommendation for approval, subject to conditions 1 through 2. Mr. Mayor.
Any questions? Motion.
Dickman makes a motion, the Plan Commission recommended to the Common Council the certified survey map submitted by Gerald Frankie, 1 West Drexel LLC, for their property at 7941 South Howell Avenue be approved with the following conditions. Number 1, all technical corrections are made prior to recording. 2, that the storm sewer easements and bioswale easements are updated on the map prior to recording. And 3, that gas and electrical easements are also updated on the map prior to recording.
Johnston seconds.
Roll call.
Dickman, aye.
Johnston, aye.
Grillo, aye.
Gavich, aye.
Scafidi, aye.
Guzekowski, aye.
Corral, aye.
Chandler, aye.
Lucky number 7.
Grillo moves to adjourn at 6:58.
You're not reading your agenda?
Guzekowski, a second.
Roll call.
Dickman, aye.
Johnston, aye.
Grillo, aye.
Gavich, aye.
Scafidi abstains.
Guzekowski, aye.
Corral, aye.
Chandler, aye.
I just love being here. Scafidi, aye. Changed my vote to aye.
Aye.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next Tuesday, Common Council meeting, 7 p.m., Council Chambers. Have a great rest of your week. Rain, please stop.
The